The film begins with a scene from a storybook about a queen and a king. Now there is a story about a queen and a king who live happily ever after. They had a daughter one day, and their lives were complete after she was born. The queen went missing after a few days because luck refused to let them be happy. People began to claim that the queen had been kidnapped, while others claimed that she had left on her own accord. The people say the queen has deceived the king. The king used to stay worried after all this and order everyone to find the queen. He searched even each corner of the country but didn't find the queen. One day, his counselor arrives and says, "You have to see the problems of the state and none takes good care of the princess. So I will take care of her," and the princess was named Barbara. Here, the king becomes worried about whether he should send Barbara with his counselor or not, as he was busy and worried because Barbara's mother wasn't with them. "I may not take good care of Barbara," so he allows the counselor for taking care of her, but while sighing he says, "Okay, I allow you, but take good care of my daughter. There isn't anything to worry about, because the counselor lives in the palace." Now the counselor was responsible to teach Barbara new things, and she was learning new things, and was fond of seeing the sky through a telescope. She uses to spend her most of time on the telescope or with her pet cat, and it was a white cat. Barbara's good and alone friend means she doesn't share anything with anyone except this cat. The counselor was rude to her as her father was also busy doing the tasks of the state. He doesn't like Barbara and she also doesn't like him. Barbara's mother was not present, so she feels her mother's absence. Meanwhile, Barbara is shown cycling in the garden, but then the counselor's servant arrives. Barbara collides with him and is about to crash land on the ground while flying in the air. Her cat arrives and saves her. Now the counselor should apologize to Barbara because she is a princess and she would fall because of him. They begin scolding her, and the counselor says, "This doesn't suit you and it is understandable if a normal human does this. You are a princess." And Barbara says, "I was just cycling and uncle comes in front of me." The counselor doesn't listen to her and says, "I am going to complain about you to your father." Meanwhile, he orders his servant to take the cycle of Barbara, "Princess, far from here, and I don't want to see it here." The king is shown alone in his room and it was a library having a globe. "My queen, I have searched everywhere for you. Where are you?" said the king as he moved the globe. Meanwhile, the counselor arrives and complains that Barbara has become naughty, but the king says, "Barbara is my daughter and I know how is she. I don't like it when you come to me constantly complaining about her. If she is cycling, so let her do it. Her mother isn't with her, so with whom she can spend time? Don't bother coming to me about it." The counselor becomes furious hearing this and comes to his room speedily. The presence of various fruits indicates that he was also receiving full protocol and there was his servant with him, but here, the counselor becomes unfaithful. He tells the servant, "I'm tired of all this. Now I have to move the king out of our way." And the servant replies, "We have to move the king out of our way? Then what will you do after it?" The counselor says weirdly, "If the king will move away, so there will be my rule on this state, because he has an innocent daughter and I will win her trust to be with me. I'll be good in her eyes, and she'll tell everyone that he brought me up. That's why I asked the king to look after her so that everyone will hand over the state to me while considering me her guardian." The servant says, "If they will discover you are deceiving them, as our princess is intelligent, if she discovers, then I have a way of doing the same with the daughter as I did with her mother," says the counselor. Here we learn that the queen was abducted by none other than this counselor. His intentions are no longer good, because he wishes to depose the king and vanish the princess and want to occupy the whole state. Barbara is shown in her room and today will be her birthday, and it was about 12 at night and she was reading the books while waiting for it. The book completes before 12 means before her birthday, but she wants to stay awake, so she moves to the library to bring another book. Reaching there, she finds a thick book on the shelf that was shining and looking attractive. It was a colorful storybook. As she opens the sparkles were coming out of it and a butterfly comes out of it. Barbara likes the butterfly, but it moves back into the storybook. Then Barbara moves her hand upside to hold it, but she was pulled inside that book. The world on that side was colorful. There were colorful flowers and the weather was lovely. Barbara become happy and wasn't scared, but she falls down being scared to see the flying rabbit, the turtle-like spider, and other weird animals. One of the animals takes Barbara somewhere while making her sit on its back. Meanwhile, Barbara sees a house and moves inside it immediately and finds a green dragon. It was looking innocent and Barbara becomes inspired to see its house as it was well decorated and starts exploring the things nearby. She finds a plant nursery outside and starts watering the plants, and there were some vegetables grown by the dragon. It didn't water them because, after it, the happening is in front of you. Barbara watered the vegetables, and now the veggies become giant. Now she was on a pumpkin, and it was increasing in size. Barbara was enjoying it and comes down while sliding on it and swinging on the vine. She was enjoying it, but then a poisonous vine appears from the veggies and it catches Barbara, but the dragon throws fire from its mouth to burn the vines and releases Barbara. Now the dragon takes Barbara on its back to the way from where she has come. It means the corner of the book. Barbara moves to the other side and begins remembering the moments as she closes the book and closes her eyes. She sees the flashback of the memories she has spent because today she has enjoyed it a lot. The next morning, Barbara waters the plants in the same way she watered the dragon plants. The counselor forbids her, but she ignores and he again moves to the king being furious. Then he remembers that I don't have to complain to the king otherwise he will end me. He says, "King, you have become weak while sitting here, so moves to the forest for taking some fresh air. Likewise, your eyes will feel good." The king says in a sad voice, "No, I can't go, because if my queen comes back while looking for me, she'll think I didn't wait for her. So let me stay here and you go," and the counselor leaves. Barbara was looking forward to the evening because she wanted to go to the other side of the book. Now the evening appears as the sun sets and Barbara has made a lovely painting. She keeps it and moves to the book, then starts finding the dragon while moving to the other world. She finds it in its house and in the forest, but couldn't find it. Then she sees upside a tree and the dragon was tied there and Barbara tries to save it with a stick. She also gets tied to the tree. Meanwhile, a few kids pass from there and try to save them. Then Barbara jumps on the tree and releases herself along with the dragon easily. She releases herself and the dragon after hard work. Then she leaves while waving her hands to the kids. Barbara is shown in her world and jumping on a rubber sheet. She was enjoying herself while jumping and the servant of the counselor was also enjoying with her. The counselor stops them, but they don't, and then his servant falls on him. Now the counselor runs behind him to scold him. Later, he goes to the king and informs him that the kings of the neighboring kingdoms intend to attack him. Soon, they will destroy our state, and if your order I will destroy all of them. He was saying this so it will make the king worried and divert his attention also, because the king is worried he may suffer a heart attack or die as a result of the tensions. Then he will occupy everything, but the king was wise. He wasn't trapped by the counselor and says, "None will attack us. I do believe none will do bad to our kingdom because I don't do bad with others." Then Barbara is shown again moving with the dragon. Now she was playing in the dragon's house. Meanwhile, they discover a magical stick belonging to the dragon's uncle and it transforms them into a wooden table while playing with it. Meanwhile, its uncle arrives and hears its nephew's voice and Barbara's voice, but then it picks up its magical stick but can't use it properly. Then Barbara tells it a magical spell she read on the page. This time, Barbara and the dragon were looking like those strange turtles. Dragon's uncle makes them fine after hearing those magical spells. Later, Barbara moves to her father and tells him, "Father, do you know I know about a magical stick with it? You can be changed in any form." But the king says, "My love, this doesn't happen." Barbara insists on him and then the counselor is shown listening to their private talks. He was listening to them through his magical mirror. Then Barbara moves to the dragon's house and finds them worried because their magical mirror was missing. Barbara was finding it with them and asks the kids did they steal it in naughtiness. Firstly, the kids don't agree, but later, they agree and return the mirror. The dragon and its uncle become happy. The counselor moves to the king and says, "I discover a witch in the forest and she can find any missing human through her magic. She will find the queen. Let's go together." He was manipulating the king because he had abducted the queen. He was telling a fake report about the witch. There wasn't any witch, he just wanted to take the king to the forest somehow. The king ignores him and says, "No, there isn't anything like it. So pack your luggage and we will go in search of the queen." Barbara comes home and doesn't find her cat. She was looking for it when she came across the counselor, who was listening to the king through his magical mirror. Barbara hears this and feels weird. Then she immediately moves to the dragon and asks it the purpose of the magical mirror. The dragon and its uncle tell you can hear anyone's conversation or can talk to anyone no matter how far the person is from you. Barbara says, "Dragon uncle, my mother is also missing. Can I talk to her?" It says, "Yes, you can talk to her." Then Barbara calls her mother while picking up the mirror. She couldn't appear in front of her, so Barbara sees the dragon uncle with sad eyes and dragon says, "If your mother is missing in that world, she can't be here. There will be the same mirror in your world and you can talk to her if she is alive." Hearing it, Barbara moves into her world as she knows the counselor has the same mirror. Barbara secretly moves to the counselor's room, but he sees her as she picks up the mirror. He says, "You were stealing things," and then locks her into her room while dragging her. Barbara becomes sad, but she was satisfied terrified because the book was in her room. Then she opens the book and moves to the dragon to tell it everything and asks for help. The dragon uncle gets ready for helping her and gives her a few gadgets and a magical stick. Meanwhile, they see the path she comes from has closed and she can't go back. Barbara moves her neck down and there were tears in her eyes. Then she notices the path again because the servant has closed the book before, but now Barbara's cat has opened the book. They come to the place of the counselor and Barbara's cat was also with them. They see a lock on the tower, but the dragon melts the lock while throwing fire at it. It opens. They reach the basement and find a door that was emitting a blue light. There was a voice as well, that if you want to go to the other side of the door you have to answer 3 questions. Barbara wisely hears the questions and answers correctly while understanding them. The door opens and they find the magical mirror in the room. When they go to the other side, Barbara was now moving quickly forward, but the ground was submerged and there was boiling lava. Now Barbara becomes worried and asks the dragon to get the mirror while flying. Its wings start burning as the dragon flies and it couldn't do it. Barbara changes the dragon into a huge stick using the magical stick and crosses the ground. They were moving forward to the mirror before Barbara could hold the mirror. She falls into a ditch. She sees upside and the kids were laughing to see them and discovers this path opens into another world. The kids throw a ladder at them and Barbara comes upside while using it and run towards the mirror. Barbara asks the mirror to let her talk to her mother, but the mirror doesn't give any response as its magic was ending. The counselor has used it a lot. The dragon puts its magical serum given by its uncle, then the mirror starts working and makes Barbara meets her mother. They talk, but the magical mirror closes as the queen says something. Barbara comes to her room while weeping and the dragon comes behind her. Meanwhile, a portal opens in her room's mirror and there were some sparkles appearing from it. She hears her mother's voice. Barbara, my love, don't worry, I will be back soon to my daughter and husband and we will continue to live as before after it. Barbara moves to her father and says, Father, do you know the counselor is deceiving you? Barbara tells him about all proofs and the king discovers the counselor is a deceiver. He throws the counselor and his servant out of his kingdom forever and also banned their entry. When they left, the kingdom was restored because there was no one to provoke the king. The king can pay attention to his tasks and the dragon moves back to its world through the book. Now the counselor has moved far from here, so his magic doesn't work on the queen and the queen returns. The king and Barbara become happy. They walk outside and the audience cheers them on. The film concludes on a happy note. Thank you for watching.